Hello, everybody. No applause for me. I'm just Biro, festival director. It's not about me. Nice to see you all. Nice for you to come out in such large numbers. We didn't expect any different, for this is a very special occasion. This is IFFR. We just kicked off yesterday, and I'm not ashamed to say I think we're one of the most forward-thinking, most explorative and innovative festivals in the world. I think we're doing a really good job, always looking to new artists, new filmmakers, pushing the boundaries. But we are also a very nostalgic lot. And to me personally, just being back in this very hall, after I think 30, 20 years, I don't know how long it's been since we were back at the Hilton, looking at these windows, having that same feeling I had when I came in here the first time when I was still volunteering, that this is where creativity takes place, makes me very nostalgic. And I'm very happy that we're back in the Hilton to do that, which also makes IFFR so distinctive, which is to always do more than film, to do more than just show a film and eat popcorn or whatever, but to be inspired, to think, to engage with as many filmmakers, thinkers, artists that we can find that have that same spirit of innovativism and badass attitude to say there's something out there and the images that we tell can make a difference. The stories that we tell shift momentum and tell something new. And we're extremely happy to have one of those films here that screams of new borders, that screams of new intensity by sometimes being extremely quiet and focused. And as we were walking from the Marriott to here, the guest of tonight and I had a very short conversation in which we also spoke about the hope of the new generation of filmmakers and audiences actually, to engage in that kind of focus. The focus of quiet, the focus of silence, the focus of one eyebrow going up and down, which can lead us into an ocean of emotion, what only cinema can do. I hope you'll have a fantastic afternoon here. It is an opening, so there's drinks and whatever, and we're very happy and giddy, and it's the first time. And before we start, I would like you all to give a very warm round of applause for the team making it happen, especially the person whose last name you don't need to remember, but Vanya you need to remember. Vanya Kalijercic. Please give her a round of applause. She's right over there. Because in the next coming days, we will be, as you can see, have many sessions with many filmmakers, sometimes very topical discussions about themes, sometimes just about the film or things that trigger us. There's a lot to be said in these days. I hope you'll come out tomorrow again, come out the day after and after, that this will be, again, this hub of creativity that it used to be, one of those special places of IFFR. And now, before we welcome our big guest, I want you to give another one of those great applauses to the filmmaker. His name's Andrea Paleoro. He's right here. Please give him a warm round of applause for his film Hannah. No, you can stay up for a while. Come on. This film Hannah is the reason we're able to have a talk with an actress. You can talk to him tomorrow when the film screens and a couple times after that. I will give the floor now to a film journalist and friend of the festival, Floortje Smit, who will talk to a person that really doesn't need any introduction. We're all extremely happy that she's here. The immaculate, the iconic, ladies and gentlemen, Charlotte Rampling.
Thank you so much for being here, first of all. You have been here before.
I was here, yes, for 13 years ago. Did we say that it was?
30 years ago,
yeah,
yes.
For a film of Nagisa Oshima, Max Mon Amour, it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that film too.
No worries. We are going to talk about Max Monomer. We're going to do. Let's do a bit of time traveling through your career, which is, I think, what it shows is what risk taking and making brave choices can do. First of all, do you remember anything from Rotterdam, from that time?
No.
That guy there who's here again.
I just know that it's a good festival, and I'm not just saying that because I'm here, and I want you to love me. But it's a wonderful festival.
You're here with a new film called Hannah, which is going to screen tomorrow. So nobody has seen it here.
Probably just as well. They might not have come. Right?
I think they will.
Right,
We're going to show a clip later on. First of all, maybe we should introduce Hannah a bit for the audience. Could you tell us who she is?
Well, Hannah, it's really a film about a state of being, about how consciousness works in a way, and how you actually get through a state of being which shocks you so much that you almost become unable to actually function. And then through the shock, you emerge into a form of denial, but you carry on. And we watch Hannah from the beginning. We don't quite know what's happening. We only find out really later what has happened. But that's not the point of the film. The point of the film is to try and get into the head of a woman or a human being who is going through a particular state, because I think it's a fascinating way of making films, and very few have perhaps done in this very rigorous way that Andrea decided to do, a very profoundly artistic and creative, almost like an art style. It's like an art installation, the film, almost. A moving art installation, because there's very little dialogue. There's a lot of sound, but it's only natural sound. So everything is about the shock of actually how you are feeling, with how you will be feeling as you go along with Hannah on this journey.
Like you said, maybe we should tell just one little bit. I think it's also in the catalogue. It is about Hannah, and her husband is sent off to prison, but you never know exactly why. You get some pieces of the puzzle, but that's it. The camera is still on her because it's her story.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why you chose this film?
Well, because it was my story.
And how was it your story? Can you?
No, I'm being facetious. I'm sorry, not facetious. I'm just teasing you. This kind of cinema has fascinated me ever since I met Visconti in 1970, well, the early 70s, and made a film with him called The Damned. And I couldn't believe that there could be such extraordinary magical beauty in other ways of making films. Now, his was a very operatic way, and it was a very grandiose way, but it still wasn't just, it still just didn't feel to me about entertainment. It felt about, again, states of being, that the way he was able to make these extraordinary creatures alive in the film in this way. And I'd never seen films like that. I didn't know much about, I didn't have a great culture of cinema when I was in my early 20s. And I realized that this was the kind of cinema that I wanted to make part of my life. I wanted to make films that put people into a different state of consciousness, actually. I wouldn't have said that then in those days, but I'm saying it now. So to be able to go to actually adventure into the human soul rather than just adventures in storytelling time. And so little by little, I found that I was able to do this through different directors along the way, up until now, when with Andrea, we were able to do it in an almost, I mean, as I said, it was almost like an art piece, where we were able to condense all that I'd actually wanted to do in terms of getting into the head of a woman, a human being. It's to me, there's a kind of perfection about this film. For that, you may not like it, you may not like the genre, you may not like the way it actually, we've made it, but for me, there is a kind of a perfection about the genre, about what we actually wanted to do, which was to become Hannah, in a sense.
It is what you like to do. You don't play parts, you become characters.
Yeah.
That is what you always say.
Yes.
How does that work? Is it as easy as it sounds?
Well, if you think living is easy, then yes.
But you just, I mean,
Because living is not easy. So filming could actually be a bit of fun that balances out the desperation of living.
but do you go on set and just turn into somebody else, or how do you
No, you
tap
don't
into?
turn. I don't think any actor thinks he turns into someone else, but you just use what you are. You're a vehicle. An actor is a vehicle of who we are. I mean, we all feel more or less the same way when we've had, if we have our leg cut off, we're going to feel that kind of pain, or if our lovers left us, we're going to feel that kind of pain. We all feel pain, joy, and the basic human emotions are the same. And we as actors are able to just channel those and make them interesting so that they actually are believable. And people will say, oh, that's the way I really felt about that. Well, yes, it is the way you feel about that, because we're feeling it as you were feeling it, because it's just the feeling that we're able to feel at that moment in the same time. That's the technique, and that's the way we make films.
Is that the way you always worked? Because you mentioned Visconti, but before that you also made a few films. Is it, did you always just started being? When did you realize that that was something that you could do?
I think it grows on you, it comes. I very quickly knew that a lot of acting was fake, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all, and I thought, I want to be doing something fake, I mean, It didn't reflect anything about who I thought that I was and who I thought I could become, because and the warning bell started, and so that's why I stayed quite a long time in Italy, because in Italy they were able to make me feel that I was never fake. Somehow in Hollywood it felt very fake, and so that's why I wasn't so keen to make films in Hollywood. I did them, and it just made me feel very worried, because I didn't like the way I was representing life. I felt a sort of great responsibility in a way to what it is to be a human, because I was acting them. I was saying, well, look, I'm going to be this person, and if I feel in any way fake doing this person, it's just not going to work. I shouldn't be allowed to be here. This is wrong. So that's how it sort of came about like that.
The characters in America are more fake than...
I'm not saying they're fake. No, don't put words into my mouth. Very dangerous of me when you do that.
I'll stop.
No, not at all. But it's just a mechanism that didn't suit me. The mechanism, because of course you can't always have to believe that you have to be sort of true to this and true to your part when you're doing all these very big adventurous films that the Americans do. You have to have a way, a sort of mode d'emploi that's actually going to make it possible to film these kind of stories. So I realized that my universe was getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and going much more to the art films. When I was working in Italy, some of the films were very small. After Visconti, that was. And this really, that I loved, because it was like you were with a family of people, and all those people, you could sort of imagine you were all on the same wavelength. Maybe you weren't, but you could imagine that. And so you could imagine that you were safe within something that was making sense to you, and therefore possibly would make sense to you spectators when you saw the work.
It also sounds like you have quite a bit of freedom in coloring the character as well, that you like that you sought out directors who could give that to you.
Directors usually do give you that. I mean, they want their actors to be. I mean, there's some probably tyrannical ones that we've heard about in history that want it all their way. But mainly, directors choose their actors, and then they want their actors to become just watching them things that they couldn't even perhaps have imagined, because they were sort of thinking about their character and saying, well, I want him to do this and that way, and then the actor comes and starts to do it in his own special way, and that's usually what a director loves.
Maybe we should watch a clip from Hannah. She is in the subway at that moment. It's around, I think, an hour in the film. I don't think we need more explanation than that, probably. Show the clip, please.
Fallait me le dire, putain. J'aurais pas perdu mon temps, bordel. Fallait me le dire. Qu'est-ce que tu voulais, c'était ça. C'était baiser des meufs avec tes potes. Fallait me le dire. Qu'est-ce que tu voulais. Depuis le début, fallait me le dire. Depuis le début, fallait me le dire. Je me serais pas foutu avec toi, quoi. Fallait me prévenir, bordel! Fallait me prévenir! Mais c'était ça que tu voulais! Et alors que je t'ai sorti tout le casse-toi, bordel! Qu'est-ce que je fais là? Ouvrez!
I think it's a wonderful clip, and it shows so much on your face. And this is what happens in Hannah all the time. I could pick any clip from this movie, I think. But what I really liked about this is the contrast between the quietness of Hannah and the screaming of the girl who is fighting with her boyfriend. And you start to think. You start to think that this is a way she could never express herself like that. Was that what you wanted to do with this scene? Or don't you think about it like that?
Well, I think it's a moment also. She was going on a mission. Anna was actually going to see her son, and it was tricky. So she was in her thoughts anyway. And when something like that happens in reality, in the metro or something on the subway, and someone starts screaming, having a huge row. I mean, there's nothing actually you can do. I mean, even if they sort of got together and started fighting, actually, what you can do. So there's the echo of what she's actually going through, because there's a resonance going through her head because of what she's probably going to confront when she sees her son, and the resonance of this woman. And as you say, she probably would just like to absolutely fucking scream out. And just join the woman and just break what she's having to go through. Because when you have to go through these things, there's how do you get through them? And that's, I think, is what's fascinating about the way this film is told. Is you won't know how to get through them, but you'll be on that trip. You'll be on that trip, just wondering, what does it take for these things? Not necessarily to come to an end, but to evolve so that we do at last start to feel something different. Because we can't change the events. So we have to find ways around the events to make us feel differently. And that's very much what it is about.
It is also, I think, about paying attention to the more quiet people, the people who are not shouting, but have interior feelings that might be just as forceful, but you don't hear them. Was that for you as well a message from the film?
All the things going on around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's the landscape. It's the sound landscape to that too, not only the emotional, but it's the sound landscape. All this how they use the sound. How Andrea used the sound as other actors. In fact, you really do have only Hannah and a few very very sort of people around, but all the rest of the animation in the film is what's happening in sound, which we are actually hearing us all the time. They are participating in our lives constantly, actually far too much. But in the film we were able to actually show them as like very often music will illustrate emotion. You'll have music coming in to make the emotion, to well up tears in your eyes and things like that. Here it's very different in that sense. It's about using the reality of the aggressiveness of sound, how it actually pollutes us. Not pollutes us, but how it comes and haunts and takes over and plays a huge part in our lives.
Well, sound is very important in the film, and also the mise en scène and everything, but you are front and focus of this film. Basically, if you wouldn't provide enough, then there would be no film. Is that a weight on your shoulders?
No. I think I can do it.
But that doesn't terrify you before you just plunge in.
Most things terrify me, and I think most things terrify everybody if you're really, really actually, honest about it. But you have to keep going out there and into the gueule du loup, the lion's mouth.
But is it? Do you? Since you are. You're not acting, you're just being. Do you know what you're... Do you like to watch things like this? Do you like to analyze what you're doing, or is it something that you don't really want to see?
I do want to see it once, absolutely finished, yeah. I really want to watch it once, like maybe twice, because the films that really interest me, I always try to see twice, because they don't get as far as I want to get with what the director wants once. I'm sort of watching it, and I want to be able to just really know, know the story and know the plot, and so that I can just get into it quietly. The second time is the one that I know. And I think I've done that with Hannah. I've seen it once, and then I saw it once in Venice on the very, very, very big screen. And when I saw it the second time, I knew that this was a really fine piece of work on all levels. I thought, well, I don't know whether people will get it and whatever, but I knew what I was seeing. I saw the quality, yeah.
It did remind me a bit of your, I think, the most recent film that everybody knows of, 45 Years, which is about, it's also a character study, in a way, of a woman.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a clip of that, but what attracted you in this particular film? Why did you want to do that?
It's for the same reasons. Because when you use the word character study, which I think I used, that's what I need. I need to be able to study characters through film. That's what I do. And when I'm doing it, that's when I'm happiest. And if there are subjects like 45 Years or Hannah or other films that I've done that allowed me to do that, then that's when I'm at my happiest. Almost like a trained horse. I know that I can jump higher than anybody on those films.
But it's important that we see people like that on the big screen, I think, because it's a complicated. They're both complicated women with complicated problems, and you don't see them that often, I think.
What? What?
I say they're just out there. Yeah, they're just they do exist, but you usually don't see them in films. Usually.
Oh, you mean the women they're out there, but you don't see them in films?
Right.
Oh.
Complicated, older women.
Oh, God, we're having a women's debate here.
Yes, we are.
The complications are also what's fascinating, because then they do fascinate other people too. Perhaps men too, who don't quite know how complicated we can be. They do actually like to, but they direct us, and so they do actually like to go along the way a bit too, which helps us, because then everyone sort of opens the door and we all have a look, and it's quite interesting sometimes. And I don't know where we were in the question. Did you say 45 years?
Yes.
A lot of subjects are going along there.
No, we were with 45 years because I asked the question because Andrew Hay, the director who also wrote the screenplay, maybe we should add as well that you had an Oscar nomination for that film. He said that he specifically he based the story on a short story, and he specifically made the female the center of this story instead of the male.
Yeah.
So it was for him, it was a very important thing that we show this story through the eyes of a female character.
Which sort of rather says what I was sort of saying not very well about the because I'm going to branch off there, so I won't. Do you want to show the?
Sure, we can see the clip. The clip is it's also I don't know if you have seen it. Maybe we should tell them what the story is about. It's about a couple. They are married, and then suddenly the ex-girlfriend of the husband, she has disappeared, and she comes up. Her remains are found. And now it sounds like a thriller, but it isn't because he didn't kill her or anything. But it completely shakes the marriage to the core because
I think we better see the clip. It's very difficult to talk about it. No, you're
But the
doing
clip
well, but it's just, yeah.
It is complicated. Okay.
Yeah, let's just see the clip.
Let's, of course.
I'd like to be able to tell you everything I'm thinking and everything I know, but I can't. Do you understand that?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
What I want now is for you to just come to the party tomorrow.
Of course I'm going to come.
And I really need you to want to be there.
Yes, I do want to be there.
Because it's one thing me knowing I haven't been enough for you. It's something altogether different that everyone else feels it too.
Boy, you really believe you haven't been enough for me?
No, I think I was enough for you. I'm just not sure you do.
Yeah, okay. That's terrible.
Are you taking your pills today?
No.
Then I'm going to get them. And then we're going to have dinner. And then we're going to go to bed. And then we're going to get up. And we'll try and start again.
Okay, Kate, I can do that. We can do that. I promise.
I love how she takes control over the situation. Is it? You love the film, right? You have.
I do, yes, I do very much.
Can you?
It's a very beautiful film.
Is it because of the same thing that we've talked about before, that you have this turmoil and then you have to live with it? You have to go through with your life?
Yeah, it's going through things, yeah. There's a very definite similarity there. Not similar, but then, as we were saying, these things are similar. Feelings are similar. Feelings when confronted with deeply, deeply disturbing events, and this was something she couldn't understand, because she shouldn't even be feeling it at all in the first place. It wasn't something that was happening in real time. It was something happening in another time which she had nothing to do with. So you're haunted. It's a haunting, and you just don't know what to do with your feelings.
She's jealous of a ghost of the past, in a way.
Yeah, but she wouldn't even say that, because it just sounds abominable, you know, in a sort of stupid, silly girl way to be jealous of your husband's dead girlfriend, you know, for you. But she's consumed. She is absolutely consumed, because it brings up, because what happens with these things, with any kind of trauma, what it does, it brings up all the rest of the stuff which has not been dealt with, and there's, by God, in everybody's life, there's lots of it. But you kept sort of on the slow burner quite happily, reasonably happily for a lot of your life. And these types of things just bring it right back up. And so you are faced with possibly emotions you can't analyze, because they just have no sense. You can't make sense of these deeply, deeply distressful feelings. And that's what she So that scene that you just saw was just at the end, and that was it. She knew that you don't even know what she's going to do until the last frame of the film. That's what's very beautiful about how Andrew Haigh directed it. And you just see on her face what's going to happen at the end of the film.
But you have two choices. You can either be consumed by it or you can move on. That's the only two things that you can do.
That was very pragmatic, my dear. Yeah, it was very good. You're absolutely right. Get over it or move on. But if we all said that, we'd have no films to make. Because we have to find out what the process is that they go through.
But that is what the movie shows.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I mean,
that's what we like to do. Well, I think.
Yeah.
on all different ways. That's what all filmmakers do. Yeah. They want to show the process.
I've watched a few of your films again in the past few days, and what I thought was because I'm watching films quite often, and they usually have like young people in the center position, and I thought that actually it is for an actor more interesting to have like more expression and more lines in your face to use in a way. Do you agree?
I think what's interesting, what's important and interesting is just the authentic people. That authentic people are shown. The reason I've never done anything is because, as I said in the beginning, when I was in my early 20s, I said, but this is people are playing fake things because I can't be fake. It's not even. I'm not even saying that it's a quality. It's probably not. I can't be fake. What I feel, and it feels, and I won't. And that's why actually I had trouble with that, because you then go into all my insides. That's for sure. But it's ever been a question of me to change anything of my face. I want to see my face getting really, really old and wrinkly, and it's getting old and wrinkly. Well, not quite. I mean, this is good light, it's all right. But it will get old and wrinkly, and I don't want to do anything about it. I've got to see that happening, and it won't be a particularly good process. No, who wants to be? But that's the way it's going to go. That's the truth I want to live with.
But it's also, I recently read an article about Frances McDormand, and she said if you do something, if you put Botox in, or you rob yourself of your toolbox, the things that you have as an actor that you can use, because you just make it straight, you can't move it again.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about this. That's what they do, but I don't do that.
No.
And Frances doesn't either. Look how great she is in her film. She's a raging lion.
No, but it is. I mean, it's not. I really don't want to talk about Botox, but it is. Your face is your toolbox as an actor, is it?
Yeah, but you must have understood why I don't do it.
Yes, of course.
Well, then that's not.
Another thing that people tend to call brave, and what it annoys me kind of, is that if you are an older actress and you take off your clothes for a sex scene or just for nudity, people tend to call that brave, and that annoys me in a way, because I think it's normal nudity, so why should it be brave?
I think it's because people can't even take their clothes off in front of their loved ones. I think they're hiding under the sheets all the time because they think they've got a bit of flabby skin or a bit of this that's not right, and they're out there, we don't want him to see that. It's about them. I mean, I can't imagine why people would keep saying how brave it is to take your clothes off. Where's the bravery?
I think you think.
Where is the bravery? In Hannah, I took, because I was in the shower, we were all having a shower together, and I just walked to, and you just filmed. I mean, I'm sorry, I do not understand that. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to even go there.
But nobody would say, like, if there's like a 16-year-old and she would take her clothes off, that is brave. That's different.
Yeah, because the aging terrifies people, that's why. So then you see an old body, a young body is fine, it's beautiful, nobody bothers about that, but an aging body seems to frighten people. So which is great to do films like this.
No, but don't
No,
you
it
think
is, because then you're watching the film and you see it and you think, oh gosh, she's taken her clothes off. Oh, well, she doesn't look too bad. I don't want that.
No, but it is quite strange that we, in a way, are programmed to think that that is brave. That is what I mean. It is.
Yeah, but then we go into a whole discussion on, what society considers, to be the criterion of beauty and this and age and all that. We follow like sort of little lambs and say, ooh, she is not, ooh, she is, or he is, or not. And we follow, and more now on our little Twitters, everyone's following each other and sort of making the same decisions or hating the decisions we make or this, that, and the other. We need to stop still and think a little bit and be stiller and more silent. We need to think. We're not thinking anymore. We really aren't. And it's very dangerous.
You have been in the spotlights for such a long time. Is it hard to be judged all the time by choices that you make or things that you do, or?
No, yes and no. If you, any choice. If you have to make a choice, and it means that somebody's going to be able to criticize you or say something about you or have their way with you in a certain way that you're going to say, well, I don't want this, that, the other. If you put yourself out by making a choice, then you have to accept the consequences. So you have to work a way around it so that it's not uncomfortable. Otherwise, you just live hating what you're doing, hating people for what they're doing to you, and then hate comes in, and then you go back into the old hate world. But if you just analyze quietly over the years and the things that are happening to you and what the effect is and what the consequence of these acts is on you, and if the consequence really is bad, and I've wanted to give up filming sometimes because I just couldn't take it anymore and have done and this, that, and the other, and then you come back because you realize it wasn't that, but it was good to have a break and this and that. So it's just it's just an intelligent way of trying to become, a moderately normal human being, probably. And thinking about what you're doing and thinking about the consequences of what you're doing. Because the consequences, if then other people take them off and start judging, you think, no, that's what he's saying, and then you say, well, then don't do it in the first place. Make another choice. Accept the consequences of what you've chosen to do.
But the thing that you chose to do is acting because of acting. It's not really a choice that you made that you wanted to be in the spotlight in the first place. So that's kind of a thing that comes with it.
Yeah, but you sort of think it's. The thing is, when you're much younger and you haven't experienced, and you're in your 20s or something, and then you have a lot of success, you're never going to be ready for that. You're never going to know what actually it means. You're going to get really excited about the fact that everyone's talking about you and liking you and saying, oh, she's great and this, that, and the other. But we will have no idea what it actually means, all that, to your life every day, because you're not making films every single day of your life, and there's a lot of stuff in between that you have to do, and grow up, So you either say to yourself, well, I'm going to leave filming, or leave what I'm doing because it's taking its hold on me and I can't control anything, this, that, and the other. Or, sorry, I got lost there.
You got lost there because you were saying that either way you can go on or and take the consequence of the life that you're living.
Again, you're just taking responsibility of your life at any age. And if you don't, you'll get fucked. in one sentence.
You said that you took a break of acting in the
I did. Yeah, 'cause
70s, right?
I couldn't cope anymore. I couldn't cope anymore, so I took a long time off.
You couldn't cope.
Did other things. I'm not going into why I couldn't cope, but I just did other things. I just because I wasn't strong enough to be who the person I'm talking to you is. I wasn't that strong then. I wasn't strong enough to accept all the consequences they were getting at me.
The one that took you, the one that actually brought your career back, at least that's what all the articles say, is François Ozon. You made 2 films with him, which are very dear to you as well, Swimming Pool and Sous sable. Why? Can you explain to us why they are so dear to you?
I'm sorry, I've got a bit of a... We say in English, a frog in my throat.
It's in Dutch
I don't
the
know what the
same.
Dutch say. What do you say?
The same thing.
Oh, it's a frog? Oh, that poor old frog. All along, my things have happened in stage, but because I took that time off, because I went into myself and into the silence and into contemplation and just things like that. When I came out of that and started to think, maybe someone came out of the blue and met me, and that was François Ozon. And that's what happens when you actually go, when you know that you're actually not quite coping with things as they are, so you take other ways and you start to do what you feel you should do to keep structuring your life, but not necessarily doing what you think was harming you, which I thought filming was harming me. And he came in, and then all along it's been like that people have just sort of come on in, sort of like knocked at the door. Oh, yeah, well, I'm ready for you. Yeah, you come with just the right thing.
And what did he offer you that was the thing that you were looking for in a way?
At that stage, he offered me a role where I was allowed to, without actually knowing it, go into grief. And a lot of the reasons that we become unstuck in life is because of grief, because we have no idea how to grieve, and we lose people, and awful things have happened, and we haven't given it time. You have to keep on, and then it comes and it gets you, and that's more or less what got me for that period. And so when Ozon came with this story, I didn't actually think about it, but I was just amazed at the idea of this man disappearing in the sea and never being found. I don't know how he was going to make a film about it, because there's not much story there. Once he's disappeared, what are we going to do? And he said, well, I'm not sure either, but I want you to help me. But I want you to help me. And what we'll do is we'll try and get the money for the film with the first bit. And he showed it to people. Nobody wanted it, nobody wanted it, nobody wanted it. And eventually the Japanese took it. And they financed the film. Very sweet. And then we made the film, and what happened again? It was very much like Hannah, different in a way that the camera just followed me, because this woman was coming to terms with something completely unacceptable, completely not. There was no way that, and this even with when someone disappears, you haven't got anything. You haven't got a dead body or a live body, or you haven't got... Hannah knows that her husband's in prison, but you haven't got anything to hold on to with a disappearance. He just went into the sea and disappeared. So she imagined all the things. But what for me it did, and why I unconsciously probably went on it, because I don't consciously necessarily make many decisions at all. I just seem to just make them when someone comes and calls at my door and says, what about this? It is as simple as that, or it sounds as simple, but that's my storytelling world. And with this, afterwards I realized, oh my God, I suddenly started feeling so much better. Under the Sand became a huge success. It started tiny, 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 and went bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in France, and then all around the world, and it was just so beautiful. It was just like an extraordinarily beautiful moment. And I realized that I'd finally done this for my sister, Sarah, who died when I was 20, taken her life. And so that grieving process was just sort. It's right. It had become a work of art, because that's really what the best way to be able to do all these things about when our feelings are in such distress, is to use the creative in us. And we all have huge creative talent, but not just the ones. I use it as my work, and Andrea does too. But we all have such creative talents, and we must remember that, because that's what saves us. That's what saves us. Go into the creative. Whatever you feel it is. Start painting, writing, reading, just anything, or just constantly playing with children. I don't know what, but just into the creative. And that's what it did. Sorry, it was a bit long, that story.
It's a beautiful story, and I think I'm quite envious of having such an outlet for feelings like that.
Yeah.
That is amazing if you can put it in your work.
I don't know. I don't think we do consciously, but things happen as you are doing it. I would never have thought, this is a film about grief, and I can grieve for my sister doing this film. No, never. It wouldn't mean there's not. It works in very mysterious ways, but we must just be open to it. That's all I'm probably saying about the creativity, and let's just be open to the potential of creativity, and make something of it in your life.
It is also something that I admire in your work is the bravery you take on these kinds of subjects that are so close to your heart. It is probably quite hard to go back to those feelings and experience them. Or is it therapeutic in a way?
I don't think it is, because if you are an actor, that is what you do. That is what you've given yourself to do. If you really, the bottom line is that you will give yourself over to representing sort of humanity, to representing people as they are, to representing suffering, to representing all the different aspects of how a human being feels. And so if you've really begun that, and I, as I say, I gave it in a very heartfelt way, and wanted it really to be about truth, then no, you don't. You don't. And it doesn't matter if you suffer. Who cares? It's that's what you should be doing.
So you have to be brave if you're an actor. Otherwise, you don't get the best work you can give.
Yeah, no, you do need to be brave. That's for sure.
Yeah. We're going to look at a clip from Swimming Pool. We haven't talked about Swimming Pool whatsoever. It
was right after Under the Sand, and I called my character Sarah this time, because Sarah is my sister. And he wrote, and François Ozon wrote the Swimming Pool for me, and then we did it right after Under the Sand.
And you play
she's a writer, Sarah.
Yes.
Very bad-tempered writer.
We're going to see the clip.
I don't know what the clip is like. I love it when she's really bad-tempered.
And I don't recognize you, Enid.
I thought that's what you wanted. You wanted something more personal.
Yes, I know, but I don't think writing about feelings is your strong suit. Murders, investigations, that's your line of country. I mean, this is far too subtle. It's too abstract. Where's the action? Where are the plot twists?
So what's your advice? Shall I burn it?
Oh, God, you're so melodramatic. No. But for the benefit of your career, I don't think we should publish it. Not right now. Let's have another Dorwell. Think of your audience.
It's funny, that's precisely what I thought you'd say.
Well, there you are, then. Come on, you can do better than this, Sarah.
Actually, I don't think I can. I think this is the finest piece of work I've done in a bloody long time. And because I knew in advance that you wouldn't like it, I've taken matters into my own hands, and I've given you a surprise. I've signed with Bartana. Unlike you, they love the book.
Why couldn't you have told me?
There are a few things that you couldn't tell me. Keep the book. Give it your daughter. I've signed it for her. Ciao. Oh, by the way, you can tell Terry Long's mother that Dorwell will be back, and he's in top form.
I love the power play between the two, which is this is one of the last scenes, and in the first scene of the movie, it's completely the other way around. And it's a beautiful film as well. Why is it so close to your heart, this film?
Well, they both are. Both those films I made with François. I have them sort of. I feel like they're together for me. Yeah. And this one was lovely because this one, the Americans really loved, and so that was nice. I haven't made many films the Americans have liked. So this one they really did, and it was a huge success in America.
It is an interesting conversation that they have in the end as well. It's about the woman says she wrote basically a story that is close to her heart about feelings, and he says no, we don't like feelings. We rather have like detectives and.
Because she is a detective writer.
Yeah, she is. And I think sometimes in movies we people think the same way. We like easy feelings, like it's not easy feelings, but something like love we can relate to. It's something simple, and if you get hurt, you get revenge. And you made a career out of people who are having complicated feelings.
Yeah, I had to go contre-courant. I had to go, I've always had to go on the what?
She's doing it in Dutch. Tegendraads.
Tegendraads. Which means
against the current.
Against the current, yeah. That's just because that's my nature, and that's why I do the things I do, because we all do the things we do for reasons, actually. We don't know what the reasons are. We don't actually have to care about them. We know that they're there, and they are what guides us, right? And when we're just completely still for a moment, we know that that's what's going to happen. Somebody's, I'm going to go and want to do another film that is contre-courant. In Dutch, please.
Tegendraads.
So yes, because there's lots of films, and I understand why people obviously would want to see films that are that are easier and where emotions are gentle and where you don't have to really try too hard, and you can just sit there and the music will sort of go along with you, and you won't need to be challenged, and that's fine, absolutely fine. But I think there is absolutely, and why this festival is so great is that it shows films like the films that we're making. But there is a place for everything. There's a place for all types, and hopefully cinemas will always be around for the types that aren't the big ones that have the money. But this we've talked about for many, many years, and they're still there. So I think we're okay.
You say you don't think about why you are working against the current. Is that true? You don't know?
No, you don't know.
It's something you just do.
It's your inner challenge. It's your inner whatever. It's your inner tsunami.
So if you read a script, it's something that just clicks with you or doesn't.
Yeah, I think you choose a little bit if you're going to be, and that's why some people go to do great studies in schools and universities and this, and others do this. We, as children, sort of have tendencies, and sometimes our tendencies are not recognized, and we go off and become rebels and try and find out on our own way, who we are and what actually is the meaning of, what we're doing, etc. But I've let that go a long time ago because I realized that I am somebody that works completely by instinct, and I have a very good instinct. I have a sound instinct. So I have a fantastic instinct about things, and it's always done me well. So I give over to it, and because if I analyze a situation too much, I have too many possibilities, and I go crazy.
One of the bravest choices you made, I think, is picking a very controversial film on a very young age, The Night Porter.
I wonder when that was coming. I think it's got to be near the end, hasn't it?
It is something that keeps coming back, of course. And you must have known that when you read the script and you thought, I'm going to do that. You must have known that it was controversial and that...
No, I don't think you must have known. I don't know what must have known means, actually.
You didn't realize it was a controversial theme.
Realize what? I mean, I saw it and I was just amazed at the screenplay. And had just worked with Dirk Bogarde in The Damned, and it was Dirk Bogarde who asked Liliana to send it to me because he hadn't wanted to do it. They hadn't found the girl, and he just had it for 4 years and had sort of not thought about it anymore. And when we worked together with Dirk Bogarde on The Damned, Dam said, I've called up Liliana and said, I found the girl. And so, da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. When I read it, for me, it was a kind of an illumination. Again, rather like when I worked with Visconti. I said, I can't believe that somebody's actually wanting to do this type of story. No? So, but it was only in that way. Nothing, because I've never thought, I'm often asked, but didn't you sort of think of this, that, and the other? And I realize now that I talked a lot to you tonight about consequences. But with my work, with my creative work, I never think of the consequences. When it's something that I know I want to do, I do it. And that's the way it goes. So that was obviously what it was with The Night Porter as well, from right from the beginning.
For the people who don't know The Night Porter, it's a movie about a woman who meets her torturer in the concentration camps where she had a sort of relationship with, and then they continue, I think it's 53, so years after the war, they continue this relationship with this strange power balance in it.
Yep.
And why did you, because you said, I just thought it was a remarkable story to tell, why did you want to make it? Can you remember?
I wanted to make this into a love story with Dirk Bogarde, because that's what we wanted. Because the story is also a lot about an analysis about the Nazi guilt. And it all takes place after the concentration camp, 10 years after?
Yeah, it's 53.
Yeah, afterwards, where they begin again, and he imprisons her in his apartment, and there was great beauty in it as a love story, really great beauty. I mean, a torturous, strange, decadent love story, but it was again about life. It was reality. It was what was happening. People afterwards said, "Oh, this could never happen." I said, "Believe me, it did," because the story is about the girl is real. And she lived this with her Nazi torturer. So that's why I wanted to do it. So for me, it was going to be a love story. And when it came out and then became this, this sort of all the stuff that they did around it, obviously, with promotion, which I hadn't been involved with before. Well, I'd done Visconti's film, I'd done some English films, but I hadn't been involved in publicity in any way before. And then, so this was the big time.
So this was the time you did the circuit.
This is the big time.
You must have been shocked then.
I was the kinky queen. In Newsweek, it was sort of great.